Every diamond you have ever seen, like a ring, a necklace or a crown, most people think they came from Paris, New York or Belgium. But what if I told you they came from a place you have never expected? Surat, India. Yes, a small Indian city, no global luxury brand, no centuries old European history, no royal families, nothing. And yet, this one city cuts and polishes more than 90% of world diamonds. Yes, 9 out of every 10 diamonds you see around the world have passed through the hands of workers in Surat. Not Antwerp, not London, not Dubai. A place most people outside India have never ever heard of. This is the story the world never expected. A story of hunger, a story of risk, and a story of a city that rose from nothing to dominate a $30 billion global industry. For over 500 years, Belgium was the diamond king. The world trusted their expertise, their heritage. Nobody questioned it. Nobody imagined it could fall. And then a new challenger arrived. Quite invisible, relentless. A small Indian town that did not have money, did not have fancy machines, and did not have experience. All it had was people who were hungry enough to outwork the world. And within just a few decades, Surat did the impossible. It dethroned Europe, it rebuilt the diamond chain, and it became the heartbeat of global luxury empire. But here's the part no one talks about. This entire revolution began with one mistake, Belgium's mistake. The stone nobody wanted became the stone that changed India forever. And that is where our story begins. So let's get started. For centuries, Antwerp in Belgium was the diamond capital of the world. A place where kings, queens and billionaires trusted their most precious stones. If a diamond needed cutting, if a gem needed polishing, if perfection was required, there was only one answer, Belgium. Polished floors, glass counters, mastered cutters trained for generations. Their skills was unmatched, their standards were legendary, and their reputation was iron. But this reputation came with a weakness. Belgium only wanted the best stone. Big diamonds, high quality gems, the pieces that made headlines and sold in luxury stores. And anything that was too small, too risky, too time consuming, Belgium turned it away, not worth it. This single habit, this simple rejection opened the door for a revolution. Because while Belgium focused on prestige, India saw something else. Opportunity. Dusty roads, small homes, young men working in tiny rooms with basic tools. Where Belgium saw waste, India saw work. Where Belgium saw low profit, India saw a starting point. Where Belgium said no, India said, give it to us, we will do it. Belgium laughed at small stones, too cheap, too difficult, not worth the time. But Surat took those teeny rejected stones and built an empire. And as Surat grew, Belgium made one more mistake, a fatal one. Belgium refused to adapt, labor costs soared, young workers did not want to join the trade, and technology changed but slowly. Meanwhile, Surat worked faster, cheaper, longer, harder, and Belgium never saw the takeover coming. A kingdom that ruled for 500 years lost its throne in the last 30 years. Because the world of diamonds no longer needed Europe, it needed Surat. Now the question is, how did an Indian small town take over billions of dollars of business? Who trained these workers? Where did the technology came from? And how did an entire global supply chain shift to India without the world noticing? The answer began with a handful of Gujarati families who took the biggest gamble in diamond history. When Belgium rejected the tiny diamonds, they did not disappear. They simply traveled all the way to a small town on India's best part. A place nobody expected, a place with no luxury stores, no big factories, just hard-working families. These early Surat workers did not have machines, they did not have training, they did not even have proper workshop. But they had something Belgium did not, which is patience, discipline and obsession. They sat on floors for 10, 12, even 14 hours a day, cutting diamonds that were so small Belgium did not even want to touch them. But Surat wanted work, Surat wanted growth, Surat wanted a chance. And these tiny diamonds were the chance. Then came the game changers. Patel, Jain and a few powerful Gujarati business families. These families did not just build companies, they built a system. They brought rough diamonds from traders in Europe, distributed them to thousands of home workshops, trained workers from scratch and created a disciplined supply chain from village to cutters to exporter. It was not a company, it was a community machine. Diamonds need steady hands, accuracy, microscopic attention and Indians, especially Gujarati artisans, mastered this skill with unbelievable speed. While Belgium rely on old techniques, Surat involved on the ground. Faster polishing wheel, new angle of cutting, micro cutting for tiny stones, family based skill transfer. One worker trained another, one family taught the next, and Surat became a human factory of expertise. But here's the truth that shocked the industry. A diamond that cost $100 to polish in Belgium cost $10 in Surat. The same quality, the same shine, just 10 times cheaper. Suddenly, every diamond trader in the world asks, why are we still cutting diamonds in Europe? And slowly, the answer needs obvious, we don't need to anymore. By the late 1990s, Surat was polishing 90% of the world's diamonds. Not the biggest ones, not the rarest ones, but the diamonds that everyone actually buys. Engagement rings, jewelry stores, fashion brands. Surat became the quiet engine behind the global romance. If you see a diamond anywhere on earth, there is a 9 out of 10 chance it was touched by hand in Surat. And yet the world did not know this story. But Surat's rise did not stop with small stones. The city had a bigger dream to become the new global capital of the entire diamond industry. A dream so big, it threatened the monopoly of legendary companies like De Beers. How did Surat pull off this impossible move? To understand that, you need to see what happened next, the Diamond Triangle War. By the year 2000, something strange was happening in the diamond world. Belgium still controlled tradition, London still controlled supply through De Beers, but India controlled the workforce, and for the first time in history, a poor developing nation had become the center of a luxury industry. This created what insiders called the Diamond Triangle. Three forces shaping one global market: Belgium, the old master; London, the gatekeeper; India, the rising powerhouse. And at the heart of this triangle was Surat. For nearly a century, one company controlled almost every diamond on earth: De Beers. They did not just mine diamonds, they control who get to buy them, how much supply enter the market, what price diamonds sell for, which nation get access, and which countries stay out. They were the central bank of diamonds. And if De Beers did not sell you rough stones, you could not run a diamond business simple. For decades, Belgium had exclusive relations with De Beers. They were the preferred buyers, they had the experience, they were seen as reliable. But something changed. De Beers noticed that Belgium was slowing down. Fewer workers, higher cost, reduced capacity. Meanwhile, Surat was exploding with young talent. Hundreds of thousands of workers polishing diamonds faster than ever. And De Beers made a strategic decision: shift rough diamonds from Belgium to India. Not because of emotion, not because of charity, but because India could do the job better and much cheaper. When Belgium realized what was happening, it was too late. Their biggest suppliers were moving their stones to India. Their traders were losing contracts. Their dominance was collapsing. And the young Indian companies, Patel, Jain and other Gujarati dynasties, were rising faster than anyone expected. Diamonds that once traveled mine, London, Belgium, US, now traveled mine, India, the world. Surat was no longer the cheap labor city, it had become the global production center. What made Surat unbeatable was not just low wages, it was the coordination. Surat built the fastest, most efficient diamond pipeline on earth. A trader brings rough diamonds from Africa or London. The stones get sorted by size. Every stone goes to the exact worker who specialized in its shape. The next worker polishes, another inspect, another finishes. A final expert certified quality. The stone is exported often the same day. A human assembly line, but the microscopic perfection. Belgium could not match this speed. De Beers noticed, the world noticed. By the year 2003, India officially overtook Belgium as the world's largest diamond polishing hub. Belgium had history, Belgium had reputation, but India had efficiency. And the market always follow efficiency. The king had fallen, a new king had risen. And once Surat took the crown, it never get it back. But Surat's rise created a new problem. A problem bigger than Belgium, bigger than De Beers, bigger than the entire diamond market. A powerful force was coming. One that did not care about tradition, one that did not care about labor, and one that did not care about history. A force that could destroy everything Surat built. For decades, Surat mastered one thing better than anyone on earth, turning rough stones into beautiful diamonds. The world depended on Indian skill. Millions of workers, thousands of factories, billions of dollars. But then a new kind of diamond appeared. Not from mines, not from Africa, not from De Beers, but from something that far more shocking. A machine. These new diamonds were called lab-grown diamonds. Not fake, not glass, not imitation, real diamonds. Same carbon structure, same hardness, same sparkle, and same brilliance. Just grown inside a lab instead of under the earth. For the first time in history, you did not need a billion-dollar mining operation to make a diamond. You only need electricity and a reactor. In the beginning, lab-grown diamonds were expensive, almost as costly as natural diamonds. But technology improves fast. Within 10 years, the price of lab-grown diamonds dropped by 80%. A diamond that cost 3 lakhs to produce earlier could now be made for 30,000, and in some factories even lower. And consumers ask the question the industry feared the most. If they look the same, why should we pay more? When America, China and Europe hesitated, Surat did something unexpected. It embraced lab diamonds faster than any country in the world. New factories came up, new machines were installed, new jobs were created and new billionaires were born. Surat did not fight the future, Surat became the future. Today, Surat is not only the world's biggest natural diamond polisher, it is also the largest producer of lab-grown diamonds on earth. But this shift created a massive earthquake in market. If lab-grown diamonds keep getting cheaper, if consumers start preferring affordable diamonds, if technology becomes 10x better, then the global diamond industry, mines, traders, retailers could collapse. Because the value of a diamond was never just in the stone. It was in the story behind it. Created under earth pressure for a billion years, lab-grown diamonds changed that story forever. And for the first time in decades, Surat workers felt a fear they never expected. Will machine replace us? Because a machine can grow a diamond in 2 to 3 weeks, a worker needs a year to master polishing. A machine works 24 hours, a human cannot. Surat's strength, its huge workforce, was also its greatest vulnerability. Suddenly, the world diamond war was no longer India versus Belgium or India versus Africa. It was survival of the old versus the rise of a new. And the side that wins will control the future of a $100 billion industry. But here's the twist. The biggest threat to Surat is not lab-grown diamonds, it's something even more powerful. Something growing silently inside China that could wipe out everything India built. For 50 years, Surat's strength was simple. Human hands, human skill, human patience. A single worker could spend hours, days, even weeks perfecting one tiny stone. This is what made Surat unbeatable until now. But today, diamond cutting no longer depends on hands, it depends on machines. Across the world, especially in China, companies are building robots that can scan a rough diamond, build a 3D model, calculate the perfect cut, polish automatically, and finish the diamond without a single human touching it. What earlier took 3 expert workers and 24 hours, a robot can do in 1 hour. With zero mistakes, zero tiredness, zero training. And the terrifying part, robots don't ask for salaries. China saw a weakness in Surat system. Human labor cannot scale forever, machines can. So China invested heavily in laser cutting machines, AI driven polishing systems, computer vision grading and fully automated diamond factories. While Surat still depends on 5 lakh workers, China can scale with 5 lakh machines. Machines that work all day, machines that never rest, machines that get cheaper every year. This is not competition, this is industrial warfare. Surat grew because of one big advantage, which is cheap skilled labor. But what happens when the world no longer needs cheap labor? When a robot in China cuts diamond faster than 10 workers in Surat, suddenly the strength that built a $30 billion empire becomes the weakness that can destroy it. Next comes that nobody can escape, artificial intelligence. AI can now predict a diamond perfect shape, detect flaws invisible to human eyes, recommend the most profitable cut, grade diamonds automatically, improve polishing pattern and reduce waste by 30 to 40%. In the old days, diamond cutting was art. Now it's becoming data. And whoever controls the data controls the industry. China understands this. Surat is trying to catch up, but the gap is widening fast. For the first time in history, India may lose its crown, not to Belgium, not to Africa, not to America, but to technology. The rise of lab-grown diamonds was the first earthquake, but the rise of robotic cutters, this is the tsunami. And if Surat cannot upgrade itself fast enough, millions of workers could lose their jobs, entire industries could collapse overnight, and a city built on diamonds could shatter. But here's the twist. Even with robots, even with AI, and even with lab-grown diamonds, one ancient system, one uniquely Indian advantage might still save Surat. A system no machine can copy, a system no foreign country understand, and a system built not on technology but on human bonds. The system that made Surat unstoppable. December 2023, Surat, India. A city that began with muddy streets, tiny workshops, and young boys cutting stones under candlelight is now building something the world has never seen before. A structure so large, so ambitious, so unbelievable that it is officially bigger than the Pentagon. The Surat Diamond Wars. Remember this. In 1970, Surat has nothing. No technology, no money, no global respect. Yet they defeated Belgium, an empire that ruled diamonds for 300 years. Surat is built on resilience, on adaptation, on transformation. This city does not give up. Surat is not fighting to protect the past. Surat is fighting to protect billions of futures. This is not a business story, this is a human story. A story of how ordinary hands built an extraordinary empire, and how that empire must now fight harder than ever to survive what comes next. The battle for future has already begun. Thank you so much for watching the whole video. If this video hit you, please make sure like and subscribe the channel. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.